When I think about like Jasper, and we can all relate to him because he's 6 and he is this little innocent human. And sure, is he going to have his own attitude and his own opinions and his own wants and needs and everything? Absolutely. But what we try to do as the responsible humans in his life is help him have perspective. We help him at his core to just try to understand life from a perspective that he can't see yet. And again, I'm going to go back to if we put too much expectations into sharing perspectives, we typically are going to be disappointed when um, those expectations are not met. So the more you can manage your expectations, I'm not saying like not have expectations. You should always have expectations, even if for a minimal way that we interact and help each other or don't help each other, or hurt each other. I mean, we have a whole society that's based on expectations. So, but when it comes to perspectives, I do think they help us with managing expectations. So again, going back to Jasper, here he is, and he's exploring the world, trying to make sense of what he wants, what his parents are telling him, what his family, extended family members are telling him, what his teacher, and keep in mind, he's spending like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a week in a classroom with other boys and girls. Sorry to be so gender specific and very binary, I know. But other humans, and he is also looking at, like, his teacher is trying to shape his moral compass. And he goes to Bobby, and she tries to get him to consider the idea that there, there's something above him that requires an element of responsibility. Now, people disagree on what that is or how it's played out or what would be the way that it might impact somebody. But I do think as humans, there is a part where we realize that we're not the end all be all. And that is one benefit that religion can do, but it also has the potential to super imbalance and illogically frame the world. So that's why you have other perspectives. That's why you hear from your relatives, your neighbors, your friends, and that's all good. So Jasper's getting all those perspectives. Now, what he does with them, ultimately, the message we want him to know is, at least in my mind, is I just want you to know this perspective, and then you act upon it in whatever way you want. Like, obviously, because if I put expectations in there now, and I don't mean expectations as in like hopes. It should always be like hope. But when I say you need to do this and you don't do this, unless I am like, well, I don't know, suppose that could be a slippery slope. But deep down, there's got to be something about different perspectives that help us each take those pieces and add them to the mosaic. And when we look at this big picture, each puzzle piece that we put out there starts to make more sense. That was one of the things that happened when I was going through therapy and counseling and sorting through, even with Laverne that summer, was I started to get perspective. Different pieces of the puzzle that when I looked at them in isolation, I saw one thing. But when they were put in part of the big mosaic, it was, how how the hell did I not see this or accept this? Or maybe the better question is not how to, because I suppose I always did, but I just wouldn't accept it. So perspective had to change. And perspective is what, as I look at each of you, and I look at your worlds, and I look at how you have entered into relationships, sometimes with some pretty dramatic fallout, but your perspective on the world changed. So maybe pain and struggles, and you know this, you'll say this, all of you, to your friends, but it's hard. I noticed that for you guys and for us, it's harder to embrace it in yourself and recognize as you change perspective, you grow. And if you beat yourself up that you weren't taller yesterday because of the growth you have today, then maybe you're treating, or maybe we're treating ourselves pretty unfair. Anyway, I got to go get the pictures for Jasper.